Tonight will be different because you'll learn something that goes against everything our society teaches about control and responsibility. You'll discover that there's a world of difference between being responsible and being responsible for everything. You'll learn a nighttime prayer that isn't just pretty words, but a spiritual technology capable of shifting the weight from your shoulders to the shoulders of someone infinitely more capable. And when you truly understand how to surrender everything to God, not just the big problems, but literally everything, your relationship with sleep, anxiety, and life will never be the same. Have you ever noticed that some of your best nights of sleep happened precisely when you had the most reason to worry? Paradoxically, they were those nights when you were so exhausted from worrying that you simply gave up and said, "God's will be done." It wasn't a coincidence. It was a powerful demonstration of how the spiritual physics of true rest works. The problem is that most people treat this surrender as a last resort, when it should be the first option every night. Here's a truth the billion-dollar sleep industry doesn't want you to know. It's not your mattress, it's not meditation apps, it's not calming teas that are keeping you from getting a good night's rest. What's really robbing you of your peace of mind is something much deeper. It's the dangerous belief that you need to be the general manager of your own life 24/7. While millions of people spend fortunes trying to hack their sleep, there's an ancient solution that transforms nights of anxiety into nights of deep rest, and it costs absolutely nothing. But it requires something our modern culture finds nearly impossible: completely letting go of control. Many people carry their responsibilities as if they were Atlas bearing the entire world on their shoulders. They wake up thinking about the next day's meeting, go to sleep calculating deadlines, and when they should be praying at night, they're mentally reorganizing the week's schedule. It's as if they believe their constant worry is the fuel that keeps everything running. But here's the truth that few understand: God doesn't need our anxiety to make things happen. He needs our trust. Imagine a film director who insists on operating all the cameras, directing all the actors, and even wants to edit the film in real time during filming. That movie would be a complete disaster, wouldn't it? Similarly, when we try to control every detail of our responsibilities, we create unnecessary chaos in our minds. Nighttime anxiety stems precisely from this desperate attempt to be the general director of our own lives. But God already has the script ready, and He is infinitely better director than we could ever be. True peace of mind begins when we understand that doing our part doesn't mean taking on God's part as well. You can prepare the presentation, send the important emails, organize your schedule. That's your responsibility. But ensuring everything goes smoothly, that people respond as you expect, that the results are exactly as planned, that's His part. When you learn to surrender everything to God at the end of the day, something miraculous happens. You can shut off your mind and allow rest to come naturally. It's in this moment of surrender that we discover we've always had a much more capable partner watching over us behind the scenes. Relationships are probably the most common source of sleepless nights worldwide. How many times have you lain in bed replaying a conversation that went wrong, wondering what you should have said, or worrying about someone you love but can't help? It's as if we carry every important person in our lives on our shoulders, thinking we're responsible for the feelings, choices, and well-being of everyone around us. But here's a liberating truth that can transform your nightly prayer. You weren't called to be anyone's savior. That position is already taken. Think of a symphony orchestra. Each musician has their own instrument and their own part in the music. The violinist can't play for the flutist, nor can the pianist force the trumpeter to play at the tempo they think is best. When we try to control relationships, it's as if we want to play all the instruments at once. The result isn't a beautiful symphony, but a deafening noise. Nighttime anxiety often stems from this impossible attempt to be conductors of other people's lives. But there is a deep peace in recognizing that each person has their own relationship with God, their own journey, their own lessons to learn. Surrendering everything to God regarding the people we love isn't giving up. It's wisdom. When you stop trying to fix your spouse, your children, your parents, or your friends, you can finally truly love them. This means praying for them fervently, being there when they need it, offering genuine support. But it also means letting go of the illusion that you can change someone's heart. Only God has this ability, and when you surrender your relationships to Him during your nightly prayer, you'll discover a peaceful sleep that comes from knowing that the people you love are in the hands of one who loves them even more than you do. And this certainty makes room for something even deeper to be surrendered. The human body is one of the greatest pieces of evidence for the existence of an intelligent designer, but ironically, it's also one of the greatest sources of worry for many people. How many nights have you spent awake thinking about that strange pain, that test you need to take, or simply the fear that something might be wrong? Nighttime health-related anxiety has a unique power to transform small symptoms into major catastrophes in our imagination. But consider this. The same God who created a heart capable of beating over 3 billion times in a lifetime, without you needing to remind it to do so, surely knows how to care for you better than your worry ever could. It's fascinating how we trust technology so much. We enter our address into the GPS and blindly follow its instructions, even when it takes us down unfamiliar routes. We place our lives in the hands of pilots we've never met before when boarding a plane. But when it comes to our bodies, this walking miracle that regenerates, heals, adapts, and functions perfectly most of the time, we decide we need to be the general managers of the operation. This reversal of trust is what robs us of peace and turns our nightly prayers into a session of medical worries rather than a moment of surrender and rest. Surrendering your health to God doesn't mean being irresponsible. It means doing your part, taking care of yourself, seeing doctors, following treatments, and letting Him do His part, healing, controlling that which is beyond human reach. When you lie in bed and feel that pain or discomfort, instead of letting your mind race with catastrophic scenarios, how about saying a sincere nighttime prayer? Lord, this body is your gift to me, and I return it to your hands tonight. There's something profoundly liberating in recognizing that the same God who sustains entire galaxies also sustains every cell in your body. And when you truly surrender everything to God in this area, you discover that there are other dimensions of life that also need this same trust. Money has an almost hypnotic power to steal people's sleep. It's amazing how a bill due in 2 weeks can transform a peaceful nighttime prayer into a session of desperate mental calculations at 2 in the morning. Many believe that worrying about money is a sign of responsibility, But in reality, this constant worry is just fear disguised as prudence. Nighttime financial anxiety stems from a deeply ingrained belief that we are solely responsible for ensuring our own provision. But this belief ignores a fundamental truth. The same God who feeds billions of creatures every day without ever going without knows your needs even before you open your mouth to ask. Imagine a farmer who spends all night worrying about whether the sun will rise tomorrow so his plants can grow. It would be absurd, wouldn't it? He plants, irrigates, tends the land. He does his part. But he doesn't stay awake trying to control the weather, the seasons, or the Earth's rotation. Likewise, God expects us to do our part, to work diligently, be wise with money, plan for the future. But He doesn't expect us to carry the burden of making sure everything works out. When you try to control your financial situation, you end up losing sleep and, ironically, often making worse decisions because of the anxiety and despair this pressure generates. True financial freedom doesn't necessarily begin with more money in your account. It begins with genuinely surrendering this area to God. This doesn't mean being irresponsible or passive, but rather recognizing that there are limits to what your effort and concern can achieve. When you say your nightly prayer and truly surrender your finances to God, something remarkable happens. You stop seeing only the problems and begin to notice the opportunities that were always there. You stop focusing on what's missing and begin to recognize the provision that already exists. And this shift in perspective prepares your mind to receive divine guidance in even more intimate areas of your life. Because there's something more valuable than money that also needs to be surrendered. There's a well-disguised lie many Christians harbor, that people of faith shouldn't feel fear, anger, sadness, or frustration. This toxic belief turns nighttime prayer into a moment of guilt rather than liberation, because in addition to dealing with difficult emotions, the person also feels bad about feeling them. But here's a truth that can change your perspective. Even Jesus felt anguish in Gethsemane, was angered by the money changers in the temple, and wept over the death of Lazarus. If Christ himself experienced the full range of human emotions, who are we to think we should be any different? Nighttime anxiety often intensifies because we try to suppress feelings rather than surrender them. Think of emotions as visitors knocking on your door. You can pretend they're not there, lock all the doors and windows, but they'll keep knocking and making noise until you answer. Or you can open the door, acknowledge their presence, offer a cup of coffee, chat for a while, and then gently show them the way out. Emotions aren't sins, they're information. Fear warns you of potential dangers, anger points out injustices, sadness processes losses, joy celebrates blessings. The problem isn't feeling, but getting stuck in these feelings or letting them control our decisions. When you try to sleep peacefully by denying your feelings, you're fighting an unwinnable battle against yourself. Surrendering everything to God also includes surrendering what you feel, without judgment, fear, or shame. During your nightly prayer, how about being completely honest with God about your emotions? Lord, I'm angry about this situation. I'm sad about this loss. I'm afraid of what might happen. God isn't surprised by your feelings. He knows them even before you acknowledge them. But there's something powerful about naming them and consciously surrendering them. It's like emptying a heavy backpack. You don't deny you were carrying the weight, but you choose not to carry it anymore. And when you free yourself from the emotional prison, you discover there's something even deeper waiting to be surrendered, something that determines who you believe you are. Dreams are like seeds planted in the human heart. They spring forth with an impressive lifeblood, but they can also become a source of anxiety when we try to control exactly how and when they will blossom. Many people turn their aspirations into obsessions, staying awake at night, planning every detail, trying to anticipate every obstacle, as if the intensity of their worry were directly proportional to the likelihood of success. Nighttime anxiety related to the future is particularly cruel because it robs us of the present, that sacred moment between the pillow and sleep that should be dedicated to peaceful sleep, not obsessive planning for tomorrow. It's like driving with your eyes fixed on the distant horizon or only looking in the rearview mirror. You'll crash. Dreams are important, goals are essential, and working toward them is necessary. But there's a world of difference between having direction and having complete control. When you try to be the architect, engineer, builder, and inspector of your dream project simultaneously, you end up creating a project that feels more like a nightmare. God placed dreams in your heart for a reason, but He also knows the perfect timing, the ideal path, and the right people you'll need to meet along the way. Your nightly prayer should be a time to entrust these dreams to those who have a much greater perspective than yours. Surrendering your future to God doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It means stopping trying to be the God of your dreams. It means working hard but sleeping peacefully. It means planning wisely but trusting when plans change. It means dreaming big but not turning those dreams into idols that demand impossible sacrifices, like your mental health and peace of mind. When you truly surrender everything to God regarding your future, something liberating happens. You stop living in the future and start living in the present, enjoying every step of the journey instead of worrying only about the destination. And it's in this surrender of the future that you realize you may need to revisit something from your past that's still interfering with your peace. The past has a unique ability to creep in at the most unexpected moments, especially during those silent minutes before sleep, when our minds should be preparing for a peaceful night's prayer. It's amazing how events that happened years, even decades ago, can steal a person's peace of sleep in the present. Many carry their wounds like inverted trophies, medals of pain that prove how much they suffered, how much they were wronged, how cruel life was to them. But there's a difficult truth we must face. Carrying the past doesn't change it. It only contaminates the present and mortgages the future. Imagine someone who decides to carry a 20-kilogram rock in their backpack every day because, 5 years ago, someone threw it at them and hurt them. Does that make sense? Of course not. But that's exactly what we do when we refuse to surrender our wounds to God. We transform moments of pain into permanent companions, as if the intensity of our suffering were a form of justice or a guarantee that we won't be hurt again. Nighttime anxiety is often fueled by this constant rumination over what was, what could have been different, what we should have done or said. Surrendering the past to God doesn't mean pretending the pain didn't exist or that what happened was right. It means choosing not to let the past dictate your present. During your nightly prayer, when these painful memories surface, instead of trying to push them under the rug or dwelling on every detail, how about genuinely surrendering them? Lord, this still hurts, and I don't know how to fully process it, but I choose to place this pain in your hands. Surrendering everything to God also includes surrendering every wish that ever happened. And when you make this courageous surrender, you realize you're ready to surrender something even more fundamental, your very perception of who you are. The question, who am I, is probably one of the most agonizing in human experience, and it's often that turns a peaceful nighttime prayer into a 2 a.m. session of existential questioning. We live in a society obsessed with labels, titles, achievements, and definitions, as if our identity will resume and constantly need to update and defend. Nighttime anxiety related to identity is especially cruel because it attacks the core of our being, not just what we do or have, but who we essentially are. But there is a revolution in thinking that can change everything. The question isn't, who am I? But, whose am I? It's like the difference between a painting that tries to define its own value and a painting that simply reflects the genius of the artist who created it. When you spend the night questioning your purpose, wondering if you're on the right path, if you're worth anything, if you have something important to offer the world, you're trying to be both the work of art and the art critic. But you weren't created to validate your own existence. You were created to reflect the glory of the one who made you. Your identity lies not in what you do, but in who created you. Your purpose is not to impress the world, but to mirror the divine character through your unique and unrepeatable life. Surrendering your identity to God is perhaps the most radical surrender of all, because it means stopping trying to construct who you are and beginning to discover who you've always been in His plan. During your nightly prayer, instead of questioning your worth, how about declaring, "Lord, I am who you say I am, and my purpose is what you determined before I was even born." This doesn't mean passivity. It means active trust in the one who created you with intention, purpose, and love. When you surrender everything to God, including your very identity, something miraculous happens. You stop striving to be someone and simply become who you were always meant to be. And this is the ultimate surrender that opens the door to a peaceful sleep that transcends any external circumstance. So here we are, after a journey through all the areas of your life you thought you needed to control alone. Responsibilities, relationships, health, finances, emotions, dreams, past, identity. All of these things that have been stealing your sleep, all of these things that have turned your bed into a mental boxing ring. But now you have in your hands something very few people truly understand: the power of a truly transformative nighttime prayer. I'm not talking about magic words or empty religious formulas. I'm talking about a conscious, courageous, daily decision to stop pretending you're the God of your own life. But let me ask you an honest question. What are you going to do with this information? Because it's one thing to watch this video and think, how beautiful, how inspiring, and quite another to get home tonight, lie in bed, and actually practice this radical surrender. You'll have that moment, we all have it, when your mind starts racing with the same old worries, and then you'll have to choose. Will you pick up your phone and scroll until you're exhausted? Will you stew over your problems until 3 in the morning? Or will you do something revolutionary and truly surrender everything to God? The difference between knowing this truth and living it lies in this choice you'll make a few hours from now. I want you to make a commitment to me right now. For 7 consecutive nights, just 7 nights, I want you to practice this prayer of complete surrender before bed. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be eloquent. It needs to be sincere. Father, I did what I could today. Now I surrender everything, absolutely everything, into your hands. You'll be amazed at what happens when you stop fighting nighttime anxiety and simply surrender it too. If this video touched your heart, if you felt that there truly is a different way to live, write in the comments, "Tonight will be different." And if you want to continue this journey of learning to have peace for true sleep, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because when you discover the secret of surrendering everything to God, your entire life changes. And I want to be here to accompany you through this transformation.